Guys, today we are going to learn how paper is made. We're going to understand the different common types of paper, card and board, and their properties, and be able to apply this knowledge to our projects like our NEA as well as exam questions. So the first thing we're going to learn about is making paper. Hopefully you have a copy of this document in front of you, and we're going to complete it momentarily. Have a little think about the process, and what I would like you to do is to then watch this video. It's a little bit longer than ideally I would have liked, but it is excellent. It goes through in lots of detail the information that we need. So I'd like you to pause the video, please, go and watch it, and then come back and we'll do the next bit. See you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you found that video interesting and informative, and now we can complete this. So just before we do, I'd like you to have a little look at the different stages involved. I'd like you to pause this video for just a minute and have a think about what you would write under each of these diagrams. So pause it and then I'll give you the answers. Okay, let's go through. So the first stage, of course, is that trees are felled. They are debarked, meaning that the lignin, any insects perhaps that might be caught in the bark, are removed, and then the trunk, the heart of the tree, is then shredded and chipped. Water, of course, is added in a very large vat, and it is boiled to make wood pulp. Now it's boiled because hopefully that separates the cellulose fibres and breaks down the lignin as well. Now we need to go from a brown mass of wood pulp into something that we can turn into white, beautiful paper. Well, how do we do that? Well, of course we need to add chemicals and dyes. So if we want to change the colour, we want to whiten it, we want to bleach it. We might also want to change the texture, the surface finish as well. We might want to change the paper strength and maybe add pigment, so pigmenting. That would make it a coloured paper, like the stuff we have in school. Last but not least, that now bleached or coloured pulp is poured over a fine mesh and squeezed between rollers, and therefore the cellulose fibres mat together. You'll actually find if you try and tear a piece of paper, it tears along one length easier than it does in the perpendicular length, because actually all the cellulose fibres are laid down together. And you might be thinking, but surely, miss, not all paper is white, some of it is brown or grey. Well, of course, actually, it's because it hasn't been bleached or changed, and that's why it tends to be cheaper, because it doesn't involve that secondary processing. So, stock forms and standard sizes. Well, when paper and board are manufactured at a commercial level, they're produced as stock forms. So just like in the video we've seen, they are massive rolls, and they can be produced as sheets as well, of course. So the sheets that we're familiar with come in standard sizes. They come in A0 to A8. So A4 is the one we use obviously all the time. We're used to using A3, which is twice the size of A4. So A4 is half the size of A3. So each is half the size of the last. I've actually never seen a piece of A0 paper about the size of a bed. Absolutely enormous. Don't even know where you'd need that big. Now let's talk about paper weights. I don't mean stones you put on your paper to stop them from flying away, but rather the fact that paper and board are given in GSM. That stands for grams per square metre. You can also write it as G/metre squared. Or they're measured in microns, which are thousandths of a millimetre. So we tend to swap from one to the other because after a time you can actually see the thickness of it, the micrometer thickness, with your own eye. And actually, because if you were to grade it as GSM, you'd be in the thousands, so it just gets a bit unwieldy. So the heavier or thicker the material, the more rigid it becomes. Board is classified at 200 GSM. You might be going, yes, what about card? We haven't talked about that yet. Well, actually, card is really a colloquialism. It doesn't sort of really exist, funnily enough. It's actually used to describe material between paper and board. So we go paper and then board, but people tend to call something that in that middle card, which is fine. So let's get familiar with some different GSM values. You don't need to know these verbatim, it's just so that you understand the differences. So at 35 to 55, that's very thin, sort of tissue paper, or what newspapers are made from. 70 to 90 is the typical weight of office printer paper. Ours is 80 GSM. Please make commit that one to memory. 100 to 140 is a heavier paper. That's for sort of special projects, perhaps. 150 to 200 is for things like flyers and posters. It's like a sort of thicker paper. 200 to 230, so that's a thin card, things like die cutting and crafts. 240 to 290, well, this is the weight that we use a lot, so the card that we use a lot in school is 250 GSM. Has that bend, has that a capacity to be able to cut and shape. And then 300 to 350 is a sort of heavier card stock, things like business cards. So let's talk about some papers that we need to know. So first of all is printed paper, as I mentioned already. So that is 80 GSM. Uses, well, of course, it's, or rather the advantages, it's cheap, it's abundant, and the stuff we have in school is FSC certified. That's the Forestry Stewardship Council, of course. It's also made from recycled materials and recyclable itself. And we use it in school for laser printing and inkjet printing. Next, we have 3 different types of paper. They're actually all very similar, which is why I put them all together. We have bleed-proof paper, layout paper, and tracing paper. These are really quite thin. They can be sort of 60 or so GSM. They're very smooth, and fundamentally the key difference is that they are semi-transparent. They're translucent, which means that you can see the work underneath. You can lay things over one another, and they take different media well. So meaning that it takes pencil, takes pen, takes solvent markers as well. So it's often used for artists' work, for architecture work, for rendering, and so on. Next, we have grid paper and isometric paper. We've already used this, we're familiar with it. It's about 80 GSM with grids printed onto the surface. The benefit is that it guides the user to be able to draw in isometric and orthographic. It is typically single use though, but it is recyclable. Next, we have cartridge paper. If you are doing GCSE art, if you're an artist, you will be very familiar with this. It is what pretty much all sketch pads are made from. It's about 150 GSM. It's very high quality, heavy paper. And we go next. It is a heavy, thick, textured paper. It's opaque and it is expensive, so we don't like to use that too often, but it is recyclable. It's used for sketching, artwork, and it takes watercolour exceptionally well. Next, we have Satin and Gloss inkjet card. So they're very similar, but just the difference is in the shine. These are each 250 GSM. This is the stuff we use in school all the time that you've already used. It's bright white, smooth on both sides, and it's just about the level of shine. So it goes matte, satin, and then gloss. So matte is the least shiny. Satin has a little bit of a shine to it, but not really, and gloss is quite shiny, very reflective. The advantages. It's high quality for printing, that's why we use it all the time in school. It takes colour excellently, comes in standard sizes, which is really convenient, really useful, typically A4 and A3 in school. And if you use the glossy stuff, it gives it a really professional finish, makes it look lovely. The uses, things like printing and prototyping, and commercially it'd be used for things like business cards and table talkers. Next, we have solid white and solid black board. So this is quite a bit thicker. So we've gone from card now to board. So this is 400 micron board. So this is the stuff we have in school. It's stiff. It can be cut with a craft knife or laser cut. It is recyclable, but it is really quite expensive, something like 50p a sheet. So we don't like to use this for anything other than GCSE work, really, ideally for prototyping in school. Next we have grey board. This is 1200 microns thick, so 1.2 millimeters thick. It's very, very thick indeed. It's very durable, strong, very rigid. It is recyclable, but it's really very expensive. We don't like to use this much at all. It does not score well, so if you try and cut into it with a craft knife and try and bend it, it will just crack. But it is suitable for laser cutting, and in school what we have is FSC certified. So what do we use it for? Well, typically for the inside of book covers, so if you want to make them a hardback book, also for board game boards, and commercially for things like files. Next we have duplex board. This is where 2 layers, hence duplex, duplicity, having 2 of something. So 2 layers are bonded together. One is white on one surface and one is grey or brown. It's stiff, lightweight, and the white side is printable. The reason that we have one white and one unbleached side is that it's cheaper than if both sides were white, because it doesn't go through that secondary process. It's used all the time. You will have seen it at some point today, likely. It's used for all types of packaging, for instance, cereal boxes. And now we have foil lined board. This is a white card with a foil, a metal, thin metal backing on it. It is stiff and oil resistant, and the purpose of the metal layer is to reflect either heat or cold back to the food product. So it is insulative. It acts as insulation. However, because of the metal layer, it is not recyclable, because you would have to separate the 2 layers before you could recycle it, which most companies will not do. It's used all the time for food containers. You often won't even see the metal layer because it's on the inside. So things like nut milks and juice cartons. These are very, very common. You probably have one in your fridge right now. And the commercial name is Tetra Pak. So you'll either see it's foil lined board or Tetra Pak. Lastly, we have corrugated board and foam core board. So corrugated board consists of 1 or more flutes, so that's the zigzag up and down parts, sandwiched between layers of brown craft paper. The purpose of the corrugation is to make it really strong, protective and insulative as well. So while the 4-line board just reflected the heat or the cold back into the product, this way the layer of air inside makes it insulative. It can be printed on, and it's also recyclable. And of course, what do we use it for? Well, you'll see it for packaging all the time. Big corrugated board or corrugated cardboard boxes. But we also use it for modelling, not just in school, but also you can see the Dyson company there mocking up one of their models. Lastly, we have foam core board, which is really cool stuff. It's very smooth, with a layer of expanded polystyrene laminated between 2 white boards. It's really very thick. It's rigid. It's excellent for modelling because it's really lightweight as well, and it cuts beautifully with a craft knife. But it is prone to cracking. It's extremely expensive. We have very small portions of it in school and we really don't like to use it. And it's not recyclable, of course, because of the polystyrene. It's pretty much just used for architectural models, but it's also used for photo mounting. So quick recap. So paper is made on industrial level from felled trees using water to make a pulp. Chemicals are added and that changes the properties. Common stock forms are rolls or sheets, which are A0 to A8 size. Paper, card and board are measured in DSM or microns, and there are lots of different types. We use them not only every day but in school as well. And the FSC, the Forestry Stewardship Council, certifies that products are from managed forests and made from recycled materials. So great job today, guys, and I will see you in class. Bye.